Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I want to do a video that I was not dreading doing, but it's like something that I didn't know if I wanted to do, if I could do, if I was comfortable doing. But you know, my mom kept reminding me that, you know, this is something that's important. This is something that, you know, people need to hear, because you don't know how many other people are going through this currently or have been through it. Your story is important, regardless of your status in life, regardless of how many people know you. Your story is important. And this is my story, and I feel like this is the reason why I may have been through what I've been through, if that makes any sense. You know, my mom always says, you know, sometimes God will take you through things so that you can tell other people, you know, what he's brought you through, or tell other people how good he is. Like, I don't know how many other people have grew up in church. I did. And we used to have testimony service. I don't know if people still have testimony service now, but we used to have testimony service in church. And what that was people would stand up and just tell you about situations in their life and how they got through it or what happened. And you could see God moving in these instances in their life. And, you know, it would motivate you, or, you know, it would put, you know, if you were going through something that nobody knew about, you would feel like, you know, okay, is that a sign for me to keep going? Like, you just, you know, testimony service in church used to be so important because people need to hear, you know, the things that are happening to other people. Because especially on social media, it could look like everybody is just living the high life, girl. Like, everybody rich, everybody just, you know, got their feet kicked up and, you know, ain't got a care in the world. Everybody on yachts, everybody, it's going down out here in life. Okay? Like, I don't know if nobody else is telling y'all, but it's going down out here in life. Okay? And I feel like we're getting so lost because everybody is chasing money. Everybody is chasing fame. Like, you know, right now we're living in a social media world. It just is what it is. You know, YouTube is a form of social media. Like, we're living in a social media world where we want to put out the best of everything. And I mean, I'm no different. I'm not going to put on my Instagram, you know, when I fell down the steps and damn near broke my ankle. Like, I'm not going to put that on there. You know what I mean? Like, it is. So I understand, but I feel like sometimes we just need to get back to what makes us relatable to each other, what makes us human. We all go through things. Well, let's start from the beginning. Okay. For some reason, out of nowhere, I can't really remember like the tiny little detail, because that ain't even the meat and the potatoes. Just was getting the water boiling. I had got sick, and it wasn't like just tummy ache. It was like really cathartic. Was it cathartic? Lethargic? Whatever. Tired. Really weak, and I was like this for a couple of days. And I remember I was home alone. I went upstairs to go to bed. This was like 6 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm never going to forget, because it was still daylight. And when I laid down, I might have fell asleep for a little while, but it wasn't long because it was still daylight when I woke up. And I could barely lift my head off the pillow. So I'm like, okay, let me go to the hospital. not being able to lift my head off the pillow, I don't even know how I drove to the emergency room. But we have a hospital that's like maybe 5 blocks away from us. Maybe a little longer, but it's really close. So I went to the emergency room. They ran some tests, gave me fluids. They came back in and told me they had already contacted my mom and all of that. So they were there. This was pre-COVID. This had to be, I can't really remember if this was in 2018, but I'm going to say it was. I'm going to say this was 2018. So they came in and told me that I had diverticulitis, which is little tiny holes in your colon. I'm trying to figure out how I got that, but, you know, at the risk of giving TMI, I have always, since I've been young, had an issue with my bowels. I've always had to, my grandma used to give me enemas when I was young because for some reason I never could go regularly like everybody else. So while it shocked me, it didn't, because I was like, okay, you know. So while I was relieved to hear that, you know, it just was confusing because, okay, now what? So they basically told me, I don't even remember if they gave me any medication, but they basically told me to stay away from things that can get stuck in the holes that could irritate it, because apparently it was irritated from whatever it was that I was eating. Peanuts, strawberries, like stuff that have like little seeds or things that can get stuck in my colon. So they ordered me to have a colonoscopy. So I have the colonoscopy, and, you know, the nurses and stuff, you know, well, you're way too young to be getting a colonoscopy. Like, you know, what's the problem? What's going on? So, you know, I'm telling them about the diverticulitis diagnosis or whatever. And I'm going to stop here for a second, because that's another thing, that age thing, we got to throw that out the window. Mammograms, anything that you need to be tested for, you need to be tested for. Like, whatever, if you feel something, you know, if something is feeling off, you need to go to the doctors and get exams and checkups. All of this, you don't get this until you 45. All of this, you don't get this test until you 40. If I had to listen to all of that, I ain't making it to none of those ages. So it's really important for you guys to keep up with your exams and your tests. If you have any type of history in your family of certain illnesses, I would say even more to keep up with testing. Like, nowadays, there's no hereditary. You can get anything, it seems like, now. So I would say, like, you know, it's really, you know, please keep up with your exams and your appointments, you know, because it's really important. We all, you know, want to be cute on the internet and all of that, but we ain't trying to be casket short. So they did the colonoscopy. So this is where, I'm sure it was before then, but this is where I see God like stepping in. Like, he was there the whole time, but this is where I really see, like, okay, this was ordered this way. I wake up from the colonoscopy. I'm in the room. My mom is sitting on the left of me. So she comes in. I'm still half asleep, but I can hear what she's saying. So I'm slowly coming to. She's talking to my mom. So she never said, like, that I had anything. All she said was they couldn't finish the colonoscopy. So my mom's like, you know, well, you know, why you couldn't finish? My doctor tells her that my colon was swollen. So they weren't able to get the camera through my colon to take pictures. So they were only able, I don't even think they went halfway with their camera. So they took pictures of what they were able to see. So my mom picks up the pictures from the colonoscopy and she doesn't say anything. So at this point, I'm looking at her because I'm like, okay, you know, she's going to make a face or she's going to say something, or, you know, I'm going to find out what's going on by my mom. She never says anything. She's looking, her face never changes, nothing. So I'm like, okay, everything must be fine because, you know, she's not saying anything. So I'm at my grandmother's house. This might be, was this Thanksgiving? This might have been Thanksgiving. Yeah, because it was no, it wasn't. I'm lying. I'm at my grandmother's house. This is how I know it wasn't Thanksgiving. I can't remember exactly what we were there for because we always gathering. So I was at my grandmother's house. I was sitting on the couch and I get a phone call like 8 something at night. And I usually don't answer numbers that I don't know. It was my doctor. Me stupid, still not thinking nothing of it. She's like, you know, small talk, you know, can you come see me in the morning? You know, sure. She says, you know, you can come be my first one. I think I had to be there like 8 o'clock or something like that. So I'm like, you know, okay, fine. So I tells my mom that, you know, the doctor calls. She wants me to come in the morning. So my mom says, okay, still nothing. Like, I'm still not thinking. I get to the doctor's office and it's so crazy because it's like to be a doctor, you have to have like a certain type of demeanor about you because the things that you have to tell people and just with a straight face. So my mom's sitting to the left of me again. I'm sitting here. My doctor is facing me to the right of me. Blah, blah, blah. She's talking. You have cancer. So I'm sitting here like, who she talk to? Like, you looking at somebody else's chart. Like, who you talking to? Everything else she said after that, I couldn't even tell you. You have cancer. It's ringing in my head. You have cancer. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever like been outside and it's like a car and they have, okay, like if it's election time and it's a car that's like trying to get you to come out and vote and they have like a bullhorn on the top of their car and they're riding down the street with the microphone and it's like the whole 6 blocks can hear this person on this megaphone. That's how those words were ringing in my ear ever since then. Like, I can still, to this day, we are 2021, this was 2018. I can still, to this day, hear her tone, everything, saying them words. So, I cried, but it wasn't like, you know, I didn't fall out or anything. I got into the parking lot. We were walking into the parking lot. I called my husband. I told him about it. And I got in the car. We're driving home. I called my sister. My mom tells my sister. I talked to my aunt. So it quickly spread around my family. So I get to my mom's house. This was, yeah, it wasn't Thanksgiving. This was November 5th. No, this was November 6th, 2018 that I got diagnosed. Me and my husband had closed on our house November 5th. So I didn't even have time to like celebrate or like be on the high of us buying, you know, our house. So I get to my mom's house, and after I got off the phone with my husband, you know, my mom comes over and hugs me, and the first thing out of my mouth is, I don't want to die. So my mom's like, you know, you're not going to die, you know. That's my mom. That's what she's going to say. You know, everything's going to be okay, you know. So you know, I go to church, and, you know, everybody's praying for me, and, you know, my mom's telling me, you know, you're not going to die. You know, this is not what God gave you this for, or not gave me, allowed this to happen to you for. You know, another lady at church prayed for me. She told me this, you know, this is not going to kill you. But when you're in that, you're not trying to hear none of this. I'm not even going to lie. It's no need for me to lie, because, you know, God knows your thoughts. You know what I'm saying? So it's no need me lying. I really wasn't trying to hear any of this, because I did not understand for the life of me why? You know, what for what? Like, so I had to come to grips with the fact that I'm walking around and this was in my body. A few months prior to me getting diagnosed with the diverticulitis, I have seen blood in my stool. But remember me telling you that I've always had problems with my stool. So I might have strained or something, you know, because there's other factors where there could be blood in your stool. It's not always a disease. So I just disregarded it. The doctor ended up telling me that I had stage 2. Okay. Any stage to me is bad, but she didn't say 4. So I'm like, you know, okay. I had a tumor. The tumor supposedly was small. I'm trying not to skip parts. I'm trying to make sure that I'm going in succession so you guys can understand what's, you know, how everything played out. I had a surgery, emergency surgery schedule. I was diagnosed November 6th. I had my surgery scheduled for December 10th of 2018. When they got in, the tumor was way bigger than what they thought it was, and it was attaching itself to my back. So the doctor had to peel the tumor off, which created another risk, because it's a possibility that it could have spread. So before I start my treatment and everything, before I started my regimen of my radiation, I had to have radiation and chemotherapy. So they had to do the radiation, of course, down to where my colon was, that area. And I had to take a chemo pill. But before I started my regimen, you know, they were telling me how the cancer might have, first it was the cancer didn't spread. This was like a lot of what was stressing me out, because I felt like, not that they didn't know what they were talking about, but it was just too much. Like, okay, it's this. Oh, well, you know, it's this. Now it's this. Like, that really scared me, because it's like, okay, what is happening? What is going on? So they were telling me that it didn't spread. Okay, great. The next thing, it might have spread through my bloodstream down to my liver. So I'm like, then it wasn't that, but it did spread outside of my colon. So I'm like, okay, what does that mean? It spread outside of my colon, but it didn't get to my lymph nodes, which is the most important part. Okay. So I get the radiation and the chemo. The radiation was bad. It wasn't like the worst thing in the world, because now that I look back, I wish I could have done just that, what I thought was bad at the time. No, I wish I could have did just that. So, you know, I've never even heard of a chemotherapy pill, but I had to take that in addition to getting the radiation. So I finished that. So I went through, got through that. They gave me like 2 weeks off, and I had to start the big boy. They gave me a choice of how I wanted to receive the chemo. So I have really small veins that, you know, move around, they collapse, and it's really hard to get blood from me. So I know I didn't want to do that. So if you guys have ever seen my video and you see a dark mark on my chest, that's where my port was. It's a, I don't know exactly what it is, but it goes under your skin. I had to be put to sleep, and they put it underneath your skin. Now, first of all, I chose this because the way they made it sound was so much more appealing than what it actually, than what it actually is. They made it seem like, you know, it goes on your chest and they attach your chemo bag to it. What they do not explain to you is it goes under your skin and your skin stretches tightly over it. So you're still your skin here, and the port is underneath your skin. The needle to the chemo bag is not a regular needle that goes in your arm to take blood. The needle is thicker. So your skin is stretched, and they take this thick needle and they puncture your skin. You can hear your skin pop when they puncture your skin with this needle. So I chose to get my chemo through the port because I thought that would be a better option than my arms. Because a lot of times you can't even get blood through my arms, you have to go through my fists. So I'm getting the chemo, and I had to stay 3 hours at the hospital to get it started. The nurse had to hook it up, and, you know, they give you Benadryl and all that stuff. And I stayed there for 3 hours. Then I take the bag home for 2 days. So it's inside of a little like shoulder bag, and you take it home. You're still attached to it, and it's constantly running for 2 days. So I'm having a conversation with my mom one day, and after I tells her that I was stage 2 because the doctor had just told me this. My mom didn't hear the doctor because we were on the phone. And she tells me that God told her that my colon was swollen because had he not done that, my doctor would have unknowingly spread my cancer with the probe. So that already in itself was like mind-blowing, because I personally, I'm not a doctor, but I have never heard of somebody's colon being swollen. I'm like, How does that even happen? Like, what does this even mean? So the doctor could have spread it without her even knowing because of the camera that they put in your colon so they can take pictures. When my mom initially saw the paper with the images on it from what they could get out of colonoscopy, she knew it was cancer then. She just did not say anything. You know, she just, I'm not sure why. I can't really remember what she said, but she didn't tell me at the time. She just knew not to panic or not to make a face because I was watching her. So, the chemo. I've had a pretty normal life, you know. We've had, you know, things happen, you know, my father passed and, you know, but for the most part, us as kids, we had a normal childhood. We played, you know, we came in the house for lunch. We had to be in the house at a certain time. You know, we lived on a nice block. You know, we were surrounded by my family. My family is really close. I had a pretty good life. So other than my dad passing and me hearing that I had cancer, that chemo is hell on earth. That chemotherapy is hell on earth. When I tell you, I don't care. I don't hate anybody's guts. I wouldn't care if I hated your guts. I wouldn't wish that stuff. I wish we can find something else to get rid of cancer other than chemo. I get the chemo and it just like ravages like your body. I could not smell anything. All air fresheners had to come out of the wall in the house. No cleaning agents. When my husband got in the shower, all doors had to be closed. I couldn't even smell the soap. I barely could eat anything. I think the only thing that I could barely keep down was this potato soup from Olive Garden. My sister would make sure that I always had this soup because that was all that I could really keep down. So I'm looking at the toll that it's taking like on my husband. He's doing crazy stuff, like just being weird because he doesn't know like how to deal with this. You know, my dad is gone, so my mom is by herself, you know, dealing with this. You know, my family is trying to be there the best they can. So I remember being in the bed at nighttime and I would have to cover the chemo bag with a pillow because the bag, I guess like the mechanisms would make a noise. And I would instantly, if I was 90% sick, I would be 105% sick every time I hear this noise because it felt like, I'm not sure if that's what was happening, but it felt like that was the machine pushing the chemo into my body. So I would instantly get even more sick. I would have dry heaves, meaning nothing would come up because I would barely eat anything, but I would just have the stomach ache and the motion of throwing up, but nothing would come up. My skin got to the point where it hurt to get in the shower, but I got through it. I got through the chemo by the grace of God. I ended up getting through it, and I go back and I get a colonoscopy. And thank God, they say everything's clear, everything's gone. When I tell you that having cancer is one of the worst experiences of my life. And the craziest part about it is the mental toll it takes on you. I can honestly say is worse than the physical. And I suffered the physical. The day that I rung that bell in the hospital was one of the best days of my life.
This is our last tripping. Come on, girl, ring that bell.
Congratulations.
These are the wonderful people that have taken care of her since she's been here.
She's like, are we ringing that bell? And I'm like, yes, you are. That's right. I'm like, today.
Yes.
Oh, well, go home and rest now.
That's what I said, ring the bell and go home and go.
Yeah, that's where she's going too. Thank you, ladies, so much. I love you. Thank you so much. You guys have been great. Thank you.
One of the best days. I was fragile. I was ugly, but it was one of the best days of my life because it was over. You know, it was over. Just walking into the hospital, smelling the floor, it smelled like sick. It's just, I don't see how little kids, like when I think about little kids that are dealing with cancer, I don't see how these little babies can put up with this chemo. It was days where I wanted to, not that I was suicidal, I just didn't care anymore. Let the cancer come. I can't do this anymore. So many days I wanted to give up because it was like, I really have no words, honestly. If you've never had chemo, it's really no words to explain it other than hell on earth. Like, that stuff is like, that stuff, it feels like it's killing you. That stuff feels like it's killing you from the inside out. That's the only way I can describe it. It's like, you ever see the 10 Commandments? If you never seen this movie, you're not going to get the reference. But if you ever seen the 10 Commandments, at the end of the movie, where this green fog comes into the town, and everybody know that's the poison, that's a visual of like chemo. It's like you feel it. Like it literally feels like it's killing you from inside, and there's nothing you can do about it because you need it. So I make it, God saw fit for me to beat it. And I don't think that I would have been able to beat it if it was not for my family. My sister, my mom, my husband, my aunts, my cousins. I would not be here. It's no second guessing, because I wanted to stop. I didn't even care no more. I can't do this no more. Like, I remember on the couch, the first time, my first dosage, it tore me up so bad that my mom had to take me to the emergency room the first time I got the chemo. And I remember this was my first dosage. Even though I had the chemo pill, which was bad, I had the radiation, which was bad, but I remember that first dosage with the port. I remember being on the couch and my mom was holding me and I was telling her I was tired. Like, because it's like, if this is any indication of the journey, I was exhausted. Like, that stuff is, that shit is. So I ended up beating it. By the grace of God, I ended up beating it. Sometimes I feel so ungrateful because the mental toll that it has taken on me seems worse than the physical. Because it seems like I have not been myself since. I'm still dealing with the after effects. Chemo affects your good cells. I'm sure you guys know this already. Your good cells as well as the cancer cells. It kills all your cells. My brain does not function the way that it used to. I'm not as sharp and quick as I used to be. I don't retain information the way I used to. You have to keep repeating things. Like when I'm in class, a lot of times I'll record because I have to go back. Like, she could just say something and I'm like, wait, what'd she say? I have to read things a couple of times because I don't get it as quickly as I used to. And I'm not claiming these things. I'm telling you what's my reality. I'm telling you what's happening. I'm not saying that this is something that's going to last forever. I'm praying to God that it doesn't. But I'm telling you what the reality is after the fact. I'm way more emotional than I used to be. I've always been emotional. It's even worse now. I've always been a scaredy cat. It's worse. I'm so aware of mortality now. I'm so much more aware that one day we're not going to be here. And that to me, I don't even understand. Like, that blows my mind, just that. But I'm so scared every day. I'm scared for my family. My mom can be outside and I'm blowing her phone up. If she don't answer the phone, I'm blowing her phone up. And I've called the cops a couple times. I will send the cops to your house. Like, if you're on the phone, you better text me and tell me you're on the phone. You better communicate some way. And, you know, that's heavy every day. That you think about death all day. You don't want to. Who wants to? I don't. But it's something that's on my mind every day. I have an infection in my gum. It started to bother my mouth and my teeth. I'm sure you guys have seen in all my videos, I have spaces. I can't get anything done yet until, you know, the infection, you know, clears up and all of that stuff. But, you know, I'm taking steps and things because I know people are probably like, you know, well, how's she showing us luxury, you know, and she got spaces in her teeth. It wasn't something that I've always had. You know, the chemo, you know, it didn't discriminate top to bottom. My teeth didn't come out unscathed. So, but this is something that physically I can fix. You know, it's just going to take time because, you know, there's certain steps that I have to take before, you know, where I'm able to fix everything that went wrong. Some things we're able to fix, some things not. This tooth in the front, the top tooth might have to come out and be replaced. It's just, that's a whole other, you know, situation. I have neuropathy in my feet, which is nerve damage from the chemo. The chemo destroyed my nerves in my feet. I can barely wear shoes. If I put shoes on, it's from the steps to the car, and I have to have flats. And there's certain flats that I can wear. Those shoes with the really hard bottoms, that's a wrap. Like, it has to be some type of cushion or something. Like, my family has, you know, gotten me all type of shoes to try to make this, you know, more comfortable. But, you know, your nerves have to heal on their own. And, you know, just like God saw fit to heal me from cancer, he'll see fit to when my neuropathy is healed. I just have to wait and believe that it's going to happen. You know, I tried to come to grips at one point when my mind was telling me that I wasn't going to make it. You know, I even told myself that, you know, if I go, you know, at least I get to see my dad's face again. You know, like that was the only thing that was comforting to me at that time. That I just kept telling myself that I get to see my dad at least. Because, you know, I would give anything to see his face again. Even if it's just, you know, for a little bit. Just to, you know, talk to him for a little while. Just to tell him what's going on. You know, to tell him that I made it. You know, I'm okay. You know, I'm okay. Oh, mascara running. This was not a good idea to have on mascara. So it's just been long enough now that I thought that I would be able to get through this video normally and just talk to you guys about it. But this is something that's going to be with me. You know, it changes you. You know, I'm not where I want to be. Because sometimes, you know, I feel ashamed of myself. Because I remember when Chadwick Boseman passed. When I heard what he passed from, it's like somebody took a truck and ran me over. Because it's like, how dare you cry and be upset and, you know, succumb to the after effects that you have to deal with because of this sickness when this person is not dealing with no after effects because they're going. That could have been you. You know, it's like, that's the part that is like, that literally could have been me. I could be like, so who are you to harp on? Okay, so your feet hurt. You feel pain because you're here. Okay, your brain doesn't work the same. You know that because you're here. You know, you're not slow. You know, you're just a little slower. You know, you can deal with it. You just feel like you don't have the right to dwell on things that are happening after you escape something that's meant to kill you. I feel like I got this because I was supposed to tell people that regardless of the way the world is going, God is still here. You know, I'm not here to debate whatever God you believe in. That's none of my concern. I'm telling you about the God that I believe in. I'm telling you about the living God. If it wasn't for Jesus' mercy, I would not be here. Sometimes I ask him, why? Why did I have to suffer like that? Because when I got sick, so many people that I thought were my friends or that loved me, you really see how insignificant you are in people's lives. I'm gonna tell you, it's an eye-opener. It's an eye-opener. It's so heartbreaking to know that if you leave here today or tomorrow, everybody's life is going to go on. It's like you wasn't even here. And I was asking God, like, am I a bad person? Like, why? Like, but I was thinking about all the wrong things. The only person that I should have been concerned about leaving me was him. But I'm going to tell you, that's a hard pill to swallow. To feel like nobody cares. Nobody cares. Like right now, if I wasn't here, everybody's life would just be going on like I was never here. And that may not be the truth, but that's how it felt because I didn't get a phone call. If I did, it was from the year and a half, almost 2 years I was going through this. I may have gotten 1, 2 phone calls. I'm going to tell you who was consistent in my life. My husband, my mom, my sister, my aunts, my grandmother, and my mother-in-law. Those were the only people, I guess, that matters. Honestly, like, it just hit me like, those are the only people that matter. My mom missed not one chemo session, not one appointment. The one time something happened to her car and she couldn't make it to my chemo session, my aunt ended up taking me. She got on the bus and still came. And, you know, my aunts and them were trying to tell me, you know, that everybody doesn't deal with sickness well and, you know, and people, I don't buy that. And I'm going to tell you why. You don't have to deal with sickness well because you're not dealing with it. It's not about you. If you have somebody sick in your life, even a text message, because a lot of times I didn't want to talk anyway. I couldn't talk. A text message, just so this person knows that you care, that they mean something to you. You don't have to blow my phone up. You don't got to come see me. A text message. Do you need a bottle of water? Do you need a tissue? Like, it's not just me that goes through this. My mom went home alone every night having to deal with the fact that I was sick. I still this experience is never going to leave me. As much as people may want you to get over it, or, you know, God has done this for you. And, you know, like I said, unless you have been through this, you are never, ever going to understand what it feels like to think that you are not only going to die, but it's like a slow death. Like, you have time to think about it. You feel it. You see it. You see yourself changing. You don't know what the next day is going to hold because the doctors tell you one thing, meanwhile it's something else. I thank God that I had the team that I had, that I still have. These are, like, I'm so blessed to have these people, because you hear so many stories that, you know, the doctors, especially Black women, you know, their doctors don't listen to them when they say they're in pain, and, you know, they don't take care of them. You know, they don't get the same treatment. You know, I can honestly say that my doctors listened to everything that I've said. They tried the best they could with any request, any ailment, anything that I had, to the best of their ability. My doctor suggested that I do therapy, and I did one session, and I'm the type, and this is not good. This is something else that I'm working on. That if something goes wrong, I'll shut down, and that's not a good way to be, because that's life. Things are not going to, you're not going to be the best at everything. You're not going to just get something on the first try. I had a therapy session, and I was talking to this lady, and I mean, I'm going through the whole spiel. So after I'm done, because mind you, she asked me questions. So I'm thinking this is the therapist. So she goes on to tell me, you know, well, the person that I'm going to put you in contact with. What? Well, what the hell am I talking to you? It turned me off because I felt like I had a rapport with this lady. Even though it was only one session, it's like her voice, like everything, it's like I instantly felt comfortable. So I was like, okay, I can do this. So, you know, therapists have a way of asking you questions where you just start like spilling it. And I'm just, you know, talking, I'm getting things out. And she tells me she ain't even the person. And the person she's going to put me in contact with, he's excellent. I had to stop and take a break. Instead of just keeping the process going, I stopped. But I think that I'm gonna start again. I just needed time to just like process, like, because it's something that we need. Sometimes you need to talk to licensed therapists or people that have been through this as well. It has nothing to do with your faith in God. It has nothing to do with, honestly, it doesn't have anything to do with God. If I'm being 100% honest, this has nothing to do with it. You're human. That's like you falling off of a 10-story building but making it. You're going to be scared to go up the steps. Anything that is height, you're going to be afraid, because yes, God allowed you to make it through, but the trauma of the situation does not leave you just because God brought you through. Because it's the fact that you had the trauma in the first place. So a lot of times our family is not always the best source of somebody to talk to about what you're going through. Because honestly, they really don't get it. They really don't get it. What does all of this mean? What are we going to school for? What are we working so hard to accomplish all of these things where it's just going to be taken away from us? Like, you can walk outside today or tomorrow and be gone. What are we doing this for? Those are the type of moments that I have. But then I look up at my family when we were able to gather again. I look at my husband and I realize how beautiful life is, how precious life is. Life is beautiful regardless of what goes on around us, guys. Listen to me. If you don't hear nothing else I'm saying, life is beautiful. Everybody does not have this chance. Babies are stillborn. They don't even have a chance to experience this. The laughter, hugging your family, eating something good in front of a good TV show. That alone is life is worth it, okay? Donuts, Rice Krispie treats, that alone is worth it. I just wanted to share with you my journey and my testimony because I feel like this is the reason why it happened. Because I'm supposed to spread this. I'm supposed to tell people how good God is. Because regardless of what happened to me, God is good. God is real. Because I'm here. I'm a walking billboard. Because this has not been my only struggle. I grew up in the hospital, basically. So this has not been my only struggle. But God has been with me the entire time. From the doctors that have come into my life, like I can't complain because regardless of my obstacles, he's been there. Because all of the boulders that have been falling, I still had an umbrella blocking them. They've come, but they ain't hit me and knocked me down. Like, I remember one day I was talking to my mom and I told her, like, I feel like God keeps me from being hurt to a certain extent, if that makes any sense. It comes, but he don't allow it to knock me down. Like, you know, you can push her a little bit, but don't get beside yourself. Like, that's how it feels sometimes. Like, this to me has been like the worst. It felt like, you know, God was blinking or he fell asleep or something on this one. But he ordered the steps. Because the way everything played out, I was supposed to know that he was in charge. Regardless of how scared I was, regardless of how I felt, he was in charge. So I'm praying that this encourages somebody. I'm praying that, you know, if you're going through this, have faith. I know it's hard. And trust me, at the time, I didn't want to hear this. But this is the best advice that I can give you. Keep your mind on God. Have faith. Stay strong, because it's not easy, but the other side is there. Close your eyes and picture him. Picture yourself running towards him, if that helps. Because if you can picture him at the end of it, you know that you're going to be okay, that this is soon going to be over. And not in that way. You're going to be on the other side. So I'm praying that my story can help somebody else. I thank you guys for listening, for watching. You know, if you guys have any questions, you can leave them down in the comment section. I will answer any questions if you guys have any. And I love you guys as always, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.